Hi there, my name is Laura Chattington from rebalanceliving.com, and I have the pleasure today of talking with an incredibly successful and inspirational lady called Nina Loisel. Nina is one of the key players in the $2 billion company NuSkin. She's worked within the NuSkin business for 21 years now and is part of what they term as both a member of the team elite and their $1 million circle. In NuSkin technology, she has been in NuSkin terminology, she has been a Blue Diamond executive for 12 years and plays a key role in their charitable interests as an ambassador for Nourish the Children. Hi there, Nina.
Hello, Laura.
Hi. So that there's the official Nina Loisel profile. What I want to do today is ask you some questions about your experiences in the NuSkin business and kind of what your personal story is. So I know that you have a really interesting story, like everyone who has achieved anything in business. Where I'd like to start is maybe for you to tell us a bit about where you were when you started out and what were you doing back then, and what were the challenges you faced and how you got involved with NuSkin.
Absolutely, I'd be very happy to do that. It's interesting when people join this business or look into this business. One of the things that I certainly wanted to know in the beginning was, why are you doing this, and what is it you do before that led you to looking at this, and so on. So I tell my story all over the world with great regularity, and we only have one story. We can't change it. Mine was that I was living on a farm in New Zealand. I'm English born, but I grew up in New Zealand, and all my children and has been in New Zealand. And we were living on a farm with a lot of children. We have four, and we also raised one or two others. And we had a very busy farming life, very happy, busy, full-on life. And it was pretty successful. Farming in those days was not that bad at all. But when you have children that start to get incredibly expensive because they want to ride horses at top level, then one needs to do more than just rely on your farming income. And so in my 40s, I was in the situation of looking at how did I keep these horses, in the family so that they could continue on their Olympic endeavors, and I needed to make money. So I started a business that I was running from home out of my garage, which was actually incredibly successful considering I'd never made any money per se in our marriage. I'd done a lot of looking after children and all of those family things that you do, but I certainly hadn't brought actual physical money into our life. However, what happened was that this knitwear business I started became very successful. It went really well, and I saw a lot of people. And those people would come especially out to our farm to buy this wonderful line of knitwear and clothing that was sold literally from my home. So I could fit it in around homeschooling some of these children. Anyway, what also happened was at that point in my life, I had a really bad skin cancer. And in New Zealand, we have a very hot sun. It's very difficult to protect yourself, although you can do it, of course. I wasn't very good at doing that. And I ended up, for my sins, having pretty awful skin cancer, and I looked pretty bad at that stage. I had tried every different product I think on the market, pretty much, regardless of expense, but nothing actually made any difference until I fell across the NuSkin products. I came across them one day in my hairdressers, and I bought some. And literally that action changed my life in many ways. Firstly, because it changed the way my skin and my face looked and felt literally within weeks. I had people just looking at me and going, "My goodness, what on earth have you done?" It truly was. It was really quite radical. And secondly, it offered me a way to change something in my life that I wanted to change. I was actually dissatisfied, and it didn't look like what I should be on the outside. I had a beautiful farm and hundreds of gorgeous roses, and everything looked very lovely. But I was at a point in my life where I was looking for something more. I wanted to do something that was actually more meaningful. And creating beautiful knitwear might be lovely for the people who wanted to buy it, but it didn't really give me the personal satisfaction I wanted. So I was actually thinking, what else is there out there for me to do at that point when I came across NuSkin.
Okay. So when you look back, you, you you talk a lot about your life, what was going on around you. Do you remember a specific point, a trigger point where you said, right, I'm going to get on board, or was it just a combination of all those things you've discussed? And
No, I remember the exact moment actually.
okay,
I was we have a very beautiful holiday place that we actually live on sometimes when we're back in New Zealand, and it's a little island off the coast of New Zealand, and there's a huge big rock. I'm actually sitting looking at it in a painting on my wall at the moment. And we used to call it my snivel rock because I used to go down, or I used to snivel to myself on it because I'd be exhausted when I got down to go on holiday, and I'd sit and gaze out to sea a bit and snivel about things and think how exhausted I was and how I
okay,
needed to change something. I don't know if anybody else ever feels like that, but
probably
by the end
everyone.
of
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks of holiday, I was rearing to go and ready to go back into it again and do the same thing over and over again. And actually, at this point in time, I just thought one year, I can't go on doing this. I don't want to go back to well, they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I'd had it. And it was actually exactly at that point in my life where I came across the NuSkin products and thereafter the opportunity that is associated with them.
Okay, it's interesting. So tell us a bit about what NuSkin, what the products are, and actually what they do before we go on to talk about working within them. So what is NuSkin and what do they do?
Well, I mean, NuSkin as a company's been around for 29 years, and when I started in this business, we only had 14 products. We have around 300 now. So I really have grown right through with this company and seen that everything they said they would do has happened. I mean,
Okay.
usually the longer you're within something, it will, do
Yeah,
something, the more you
the
can kind of
opposite.
find fault with it. In this case, it's just continued to get better and better over the years. And the products that they brought to the market 29 years ago were actually good products that were skin beneficial. And while that sounds, well, isn't any skin product skin beneficial? Well, actually, no. They set out to create a line of skincare products that was actually good for the skin and would help people within the aging process because it would help people skin maintain better and stay healthy and so on. So they brought out products in the beginning that just had exceptional ingredients in them. And this was also the reason they chose direct selling, because if they had to add all the people that add cost but no value to the movement of a product, they wouldn't have been able to put those ingredients into the products and deliver us with the best products out there, which is what they always have been. We were using ingredients in our products 29 years ago that companies nowadays are starting to make a big song and dance and putting into their products. We've moved way past that now.
Okay.
So yes, they gave us some great products that when we used it, gave the skin the ability to function in the way it should be able to, the way it functions when we're young, before we start damaging it with either what we're putting on the skin or with what's happening to our skin and the environment and so on. So, and they were a range of personal care products. They've always been about anti-aging. And at that point in time, there were just products that, some for the skin, a little bit of hair product. That's what I used, and that's what made the difference initially to my skin. Simply those basic products. We've moved way on nowadays with a technology that is unique. No one has our science, and no one can really come anywhere close to us in the anti-aging arena because we own this science. It's a technology called AgeLock.
Okay.
And if people haven't heard that word now, I can pretty much guarantee within the next few years they will know about it.
Yeah.
So that was the initial start. Yeah.
Okay. And obviously you mentioned that the way that NuSkin works is through a direct selling model,
Mm.
and obviously that's how you got involved yourself. Um, why do you feel, obviously you've got a huge amounts of experience in this? Why is it such an exciting opportunity for somebody who is thinking about getting involved?
Well, the reality is that the business offers is a very real solution to most people's difficulty of creating a balance of time and money. Most of us are challenged in that way. They either have time or they have money, but they can't have kind of a balance of both, and they can't get control over their lives to even kind of really have a life or have the life that they'd really love to have. So, what I've seen over the years is, I wanted to be in business for myself. I've never worked for anybody in my life, and no one of my family. We are more entrepreneurial people, and we own our farms, or we own what we put our life's work into. It's just who we are, I guess. But most people achieve leveraged income. I hadn't really understood the impact of creating something that so that you could become unimportant to the generating of your income, so that you've become alive. We're not taught this and have a life,
Sure.
proper life. We're not taught this in school.
And
And most people, I discovered, they achieve their leverage by having their own business. I mean, but businesses fail. Many businesses fail. So there's a lot of risk in that. What I saw with NuSkin was a way to build a business in partnership with this company, this very solid, respected company on the New York Stock Exchange, and it gives us a way to get started in business alongside what we're currently doing, and there's no risk. There really isn't any risk. It's extraordinary.
And I mean, I understand the business obviously very intimately now. Just for those who are listening to this, just explain quickly what leverage income really actually means, because I know that sometimes that terminology isn't quite understood. What is meant by that?
Well, most of us are working in what we call linear income, and that's exchanging time for dollars, or a chunk of time for a salary.
Hmm.
We go to get at work and they'll tell us how much they'll pay us, and then we work those hours. The challenge is that there's only so many hours in the day in order to exchange that money and that for your time. And the reality also is that if people aren't in a position to go and do that work for whatever reason, um, they're not going to get paid. And my understanding, as I've talked and worked in this line of business and talked with people, is that most people are seriously only a few months away from serious problems if they don't get paid. So they have very little set aside. Now, on the other hand, you have something called leveraged income. And that is when we can build a way, create an asset. In our case, we create an asset, we build an asset, and we create a distribution network through which these products flow. And because they keep flowing, it enables us to have commission regularly on something that keeps flowing, and it gives us a leveraged income stream. So over time, it doesn't matter whether we're working or not. There are literally thousands and thousands of people all over the world who now choose to use these products that NuSkin put out from a health inside out, the nutritional division, and from the skin care range. All of those products people choose to use. I don't go and sell it to them. I'm a connector. I connect them to a way that they can look and feel better. And when those people keep on buying these products, there's a commission structure in there, which means that you don't have to be concerned about keeping on working to do that work. You do the job one time, you get paid forever. And there are different ways of creating leverage. Obviously, most people do it either through owning their own business and leveraging themselves off their workers, off people. Some people will invest in property or whatever, but they're getting, their rents, their property rentals are paying them the leverage. And that's
Yeah.
where I came to understand that unless we got in a position to find a way to create an income stream that doesn't matter whether you're in the scenario or not, or in the equation or not, then we weren't able to probably have the sort of life that you'd really like to have, which is what I talk about a lot these days, because I think people deserve to know there is another way, another
Yeah.
option.
And fundamentally, it's not working pounds for hours or dollars for hours, and you are leveraging your time and freeing up your time fundamentally to be able to do other stuff, which is what you started out by saying. So, sort of moving on to actually working within the NuSkin environment and working in the teams and with people like you. What are the kind of positives of getting involved in actually implementing the work and doing the work?
The positives of that one
So
can become very
what is it? Is it
successful.
obviously sure, but it just talking about how you work with the people you work with, because yes, there's leverage income. Yes, you get free time and all of that stuff, but also the support network that you get within working in NuSkin, say in the United Kingdom.
Well, this business has always been about helping others. There's no way you can have success, and as we do build success, we build it through helping other people become successful. And so, when we look at our compensation plan structure and the people who have got to this level of Blue Diamond and so on, it's because we've helped 12 other people build a business.
Mm-hmm.
So we've helped coach and teach these people what we know ourselves, because the challenge in most businesses is that most businesses fail because people don't know how to do all the different facets that are entailed within building a business. And your competition isn't going to tell you, they want you to fail.
Sure.
So, in our business, we're looking to find people who want to choose this vehicle, if you will, to create some leverage income when they choose to, and they do it alongside whatever it is that they're currently doing in their life. So they have to have a reason to do that. There's usually a very strong why. I want to change something. For me, it was like, I've had enough sniveling on my rock each year and expecting it to change.
Yeah.
I'm going to take control of this and I'm going to do something. I had no idea what it was going to be, but I knew I had to change it at that point.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how life comes in and works. It's the way it is. And just what was the rest of the question? You asked me something.
So I was just asking you, what are the benefits to working within the NuSkin network?
Well, the benefits are this total support, because when we have somebody who says, okay, I'm really interested in doing this, I've got no idea how, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a whatever, that doesn't matter. There's a duplicatable system of training and support that goes with this. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when someone wants to build a business, we work very closely with them for a few months. Usually for at least 3 months, we will be constantly working and supporting and really helping those people understand. I like to shorten people's learning curve.
Yeah.
I'm there for them, to support them, to do a lot of the initial work with them so that they learn on the job, because normally you end up having to, go to do something, go to university for years and study it, and then you get out of university, get a job and start trying to climb the ladder. We're saying straight away to somebody, come in here, we'll show you how to come to the top of this ladder as fast as we can. And as long as we have people who are prepared to be coachable and are prepared to follow a system, because it really is about, unless we can coach a lot of people to do the same thing so they know exactly what they're doing, a bit like a franchise in a way. You buy the franchise booklet, then we can't have success. It's got to be about having a duplicatable system that anybody can learn to do if they set their mind to it. Okay. And that's what we offer. I think one of the big things I've heard so many times from people is that they just could not believe the level of support and understanding, in a way, that comes with building a NuSkin business, if you're serious about it.
Yeah, okay. So what are the, again, talking about people getting involved and working within the NuSkin business, as opposed to the product side of the business, what are you obviously see a lot of people, what are the challenges that people face and come up against as they're building their businesses and as they're getting on board in the NuSkin world?
Well, it really depends what they want to achieve in the business. There's several different options. I literally, my work is to show people, offer people information about the business opportunity that we have, and to show them the product range that we have, to let them know that we have some great products, and to be able to even demonstrate that to someone, because we have got an extraordinary product that is visual, emotional, and consumable. And when people see it in action, they go, oh my goodness, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a business opportunity, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So if people just want to use the product, they can be connected to the company as a wholesale member, and they just buy product whenever they wish. So those people are very happy just wanting to be able to get hold of these products. And the reality is that they have to be connected to someone or know someone they can buy it off, because this product isn't in shops.
Yeah.
It's literally sold by word of mouth, $2 billion of it a year around the world. So if somebody then, perhaps somebody wants to make a few £100 a month, they can do that by becoming a distributor. It's somebody who has a wholesale connection number, and they can even retail the product. We have a lot of spas and clinics and so on who enjoy using the galvanic spar and our products as an extra source of income, another added income stream. And the reality is that there's also a commission structure in there for those people. So they may end up making a few hundred, even thousands, couple of £1,000 a month doing it that way. But that's not where the money is, Laura. The money is in helping people create businesses so that we can get to lots more people and leverage ourselves, because a lot more people are using product. And so if somebody wants to start building a leveraged income stream, they will usually invest in a business kit. That kit is less than £1,000. And that gives them products. So it gives them immediately some products to use, to know that it's really good. And they have to have belief in the product. And secondly, it gives them some products to on-sell, if you will, to the people they might start chatting with very quickly, who say, well, the business isn't for me, but crikey, I want the stuff. I need it. And so you've got something on hand immediately. The best thing about this is that it enables people to get immediately into the business of duplication. We can move very, very fast in this business if we choose to. If we find the right people at the right time in their life to participate, and those people are prepared to be coachable and invest about 10 to 15 hours a week, which they have to find. Nobody just has that lying around. But if they are, then they can fly with this if they follow this duplication process. And these are the people we work with primarily and coach and mentor them to success.
Yeah. So you must see a lot of people come and go in the NuSkin network, and from all the experience that you have, I know everyone is different, but in a kind of, what do you see makes the difference between the people who are successful and the people that don't succeed, the people who fail to do what they set out to do?
Well, I've thought about this a lot, actually, and sometimes when we're on amazing company trips where we're completely spoiled, it's just incredible. We'll talk about this. It's interesting to see people from all socioeconomic groups, all walks of life, all nationalities. We're in 53 markets. What is the one thing that made the difference? And I'm quite clear on this. I am certain it's because they have the person has a compelling desire, reason to have their own business, and a burning desire, if you will, to change something in their lives. They're far more likely to stay committed to working at it. And people need to treat this as a business and understand it will take time to develop like any other business. I mean, I hear people saying, yes, my auntie does NuSkin. Well, what's she doing? Well, maybe using some cream, I don't know. But that's certainly not like the business that I've developed over the years, and by helping other people develop similar business structures. Interestingly, the people who perhaps stop building the business for whatever reason, and bearing in mind that it costs very little to get into this business, it doesn't really matter for some people whether they drop out again. So they haven't lost anything. They've actually ended up looking and feeling much better. They continue to use the products and they love it. Also interesting, often people will come back into the business 2 or 3 years later and really, really start to build. It niggles at them. They know that they've perhaps let an opportunity go by. I remember hearing right at the beginning, before I started this business, it was a video I watched, and they said you get 2 opportunities in a lifetime, and if you're over 40, you've already missed one. I went, oh bother! I know which one I missed because it was a biggie. And I'm not missing this one. I just knew. And opportunities are never lost. They're just picked up by somebody else who's ready for them. And that's why this business is purely about giving people information. It's not about trying to push anyone into doing anything they don't want to do. It's offering the choice and the chance, if you will, to be able to build something that will give them freedom and choices in life.
Okay. So having got to obviously where you are in your life, and having achieved what you've achieved in the business, just tell us a bit about what are the reasons that you are still very, very much engaged in the NuSkin business, given the fact of the model of leveraged income. What is it that's driving you right now, and is that different to what it was when you started out?
Yeah, I think, when I started out, I had no understanding that this would make such a difference in so many people's lives. You just don't really get that. because I came in through the product. I sometimes say to people, I wish I could say I'd analysed this business from a business perspective and understood what an extraordinary opportunity it was, and got out there and gone to it from, in a business-like way. But because I was incredibly busy, I literally had no time. It just happened that everybody I saw had a face and a body. And I thought that perhaps they had some needs and hopes like I did, and dreams, and maybe they want to change something. So I offered them information. But I came in through the product, and I saw after a few weeks and then a few more months of trying this product, suggesting to people they tried it, that on the worst cases of everything I could find, I knew the product worked. So it can make an enormous difference in people's lives, just from the perspective of enabling them to look better and feel better, get rid of something that they've had or they don't want, and that in itself is as a reward. But I don't think, it's certainly not in the beginning, did I understand that I would go on to grow a global network, because of the decision I made that day to build a NuSkin business, that it would affect so many other people. And there's no, that reward is really, it's very powerful. It's actually very emotional to know that you can really make a difference in people's lives and do some good while you're here. The money's fantastic. I mean, in the beginning, when people tell me it's not about the money, I think, well, of course it is. I mean, it's right up there with oxygen as far as I'm concerned. But as far as now helping people build businesses, I'm back at work, if you will, and my work is having a lovely time chatting with people and so on, because I know the opportunity right now for this business and this company with it. You know, the company will go from 2.17 billion last year to 5 billion within the next 3 years, whether you or I participate. It's going to happen.
Wow.
And that's what's exciting, because people coming in today and in the next few years are going to be able to short circuit this so dramatically. You know, it took me several years to build this. I wasn't a particularly fast blue diamond. I had a lot of other things going on in my life, but the reality was that I kept on going at it, and I knew that I could achieve where I wanted to go if I just kept on doing it. These days, it doesn't matter if I get out of bed in the morning anymore or not to go to work. I do this because I love it and I choose to do it. And I have built friendships and relationships all over the world with people I would never have met or had the privilege of working with if it hadn't been for this business. So it's incredibly rewarding on many levels.
Okay. Before we go, I just wanted to ask you another kind of more out of NuSkin question. I know that I know you have a pretty interesting personality, and you have a lot of dimensions in your life, different dimensions in your life. So when you're not working, Nina, when you're outside of work, if there is ever a time of that, how do you like to spend your time?
Well, I do enjoy sharing this with people wherever I happen to be. I'm often having a chat with someone, because I don't like to think of them not having the opportunity. But we're a very close family, and all my children and grandchildren actually happen to be in England, living in or around London at the moment. And we like to spend time together. Our friends call it the Loisel swarm. And we do spend a lot of time together. Fortunately, I am an incredibly active grandmother, and my 3 little grandsons seriously can't tire me out, which they're thrilled about. So I'm really into football at the moment. I know all about Lionel Messi and all the others. And I mean, the thing is that I do have choices, Laura. People go, you know, you're working all the time. No, I'm not. I can choose to literally get on a plane tomorrow and go to New Zealand and not have to talk to anybody if I don't want to. You know, the whole thing about building people's businesses, that they're in control of those businesses themselves. They don't want to be run by someone. They just want to be shown how to do it. So, you know, I do have times in my life where I can, you know, stop and go, okay, I'm now going to go to New Zealand and, you know, spend a couple of months on our island if I want to, and basically have a very basic life down there, which is totally different to my London and European life. It's fun, and I don't know, I knit, I love to keep fit, I swim, I bake bread. You know, if you've been around for as long as I have, we've usually done lots of different things in our life, and so the reality is that I can go back to picking up knitting or spinning or doing any of those things I used to do in my farm life. I can remember how to do it. You don't forget. And so there's always something very interesting to do. I can't say I'm very good about never having something in my hands to do, but I can. Well, a book's good enough, really. But I don't think there's anything particularly interesting in what I do other than the fact that I can do what I choose and what makes me happy and my family happy. And sadly, I see that that's not often the case for people. They would always love to be doing something else. And you know what? I can just choose what I want to do. So at the moment, I choose to help people change something in their lives. And I think I'll probably be doing it with my last gasp.
Yeah, it's a great way, it's a great lifestyle to have, and it really does just come down to being able and privileged enough to have that choice. And I think no matter what people's intentions are, just having that freedom and that lifestyle choice, however they want to spend their hours in the day, is what is most valuable and really what NuSkin really gives you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if we gave everybody millions of pounds, they'd all go and do something different with it. It's not about the money, it's about what that enables them to do.
Yeah.
And often the biggest reward, in my experience, is what we can do for others. And it's a very genuine and real in this company. We do well by helping others. I think that's a genius business.
Yeah, brilliant. So if people are interested who are listening to this and finding more about NuSkin and getting involved with NuSkin either from a product perspective or and a business perspective, what should they do?
Well, first of all, they should get some more information. They should really ask questions, really tear it apart. I love it when people just keep hounding me for, well, I want to know this, I want to. That's great. You need to evaluate it as you would any other business. The bottom line is if you want to look at this from the perspective of really making money, then you've got to understand a little bit about the business and the structure, and you would have lots of questions about it. From a product perspective, that's easy. You need to try the product. They say we need to have 3 beliefs in this to be able to do this business. The first is a belief in the product. You get that by using it. Somebody will show you this product, demonstrate it to you. I do this with men and women. They have to understand why this product is so powerful that it can move $2 billion worth through word of mouth and soon $5 billion. Secondly, they have to have a belief in their partner, the company, the corporation. Who is NuSkin Enterprises? Where our shares are growing so dramatically. We've got such incredible success we're on the New York Stock Exchange. Check out the company and see what we're doing, and really go into that part of it. And the third thing that we have to have is belief in ourselves. Can we actually do this? Are we prepared to learn what we need to do in order to build a successful business? And that comes down to being able to believe that what you're doing is good and right, and you're happy with your choice, and regardless of what anybody else thinks, and lots of them think they thought I was mad in New Zealand. People, reasonably well-educated people, did not go into network marketing. Well, that's all changed these days. I mean, if you'd ask anybody who's seriously successful, it's all about networks.
Yeah.
So there's been a big difference over the last 20 years. So it's being able to have the confidence in yourself that you have made the right decision, and it's going to be a learning process, and that you can learn to build this just like many other people have. There's over 1,000 of us who have reached very high levels and very high levels of income. So if why not you? Why not? That's what I thought. I looked at them and thought, why not me? Okay. And that was it.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, Nina. I really appreciate it and talking to you. It's been really interesting.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure. I'm very happy to talk about this a lot.
Sure.
So thank you, Laura.
Okay, thanks very much, Nina. This is Laura Chattington of RebalanceLiving.com, and I look forward to catching up with you soon.